Hi everyone, my name is Lingjun and the paper I'm presenting today is called Age-Related Increases in Long-Range Connectivity in Fetal Functional Neural Connectivity Networks in Utero. In short, it means age-related increases in long-range functional connection in utero, and I'll explain that. So there's two types of connectivity in a brain. There's structural connectivity and functional connectivity. Structural connectivity describes physical connections between different brain regions, usually via white matter tracts. In contrast, functional connectivity is defined as the synchronization of activities or special physiological signals between different brain areas. So if two brain regions exhibit similar activities during the same period, they are said to be functionally connected during that period. And they can be further classified into short-range and long-range connectivity. As the name suggests, short-range connectivity are connections within a brain region or between adjacent regions. And long-range connectivity are connections between distant brain regions. A method commonly used to measure functional connectivity is fMRI. It measures brain activity via detecting changes associated with blood flow and oxygenation levels, and these changes are reflected in the both signals. So resting state fMRI or RS-fMRI is one kind of fMRI that measures participants' both signal at resting state. So that's when you are awake but not doing any task. And functional connectivity can be obtained via analyzing the correlation of this both signal between different brain regions. Now, scientists have actually discovered several functional connectivity networks at resting state, and the most known one is the default mode network. It is active when a brain is at resting state and not focused on the outside world, and it is deactivated when a person is doing tasks. And this picture shows some areas that are involved in default mode network. So the most important one are the posterior cingulate cortex and the dorsal and ventral medial prefrontal cortex. But what we are interested in today is the functional connectivity in fetus. So understanding the development of fetal functional connectivity can help us to identify the cause of injury and the vulnerable periods. And it can also help with the early detection of significant neural abnormalities. However, they are still very poorly understood today, and that's why the study was performed. So they aim to examine the functional connectivity in fetus and their changes across age. And they also hypothesized that there will be increased functional connectivity in the long-range connections, as well as within the functional neural networks, for example, the default mode network in older fetuses. So this study involves 32 healthy women who are pregnant with a single fetus, who are also between 24 to 38 weeks of their pregnancy. fMRI was used, so they placed a flex coil around mother's abdomen, approximately around fetal head, and this coil helped receive the both signal from the body, and it also helped to obtain the high quality images. After they got the desired image, a seed-based approach was used to quantify the correlation between the both signals in different regions. What that means is that they define 10 regions of interest, or the seed regions, in the brain, and for each of these seed regions, they map the functional connectivity between the seed and the rest of the brain for all age groups. And then the statistical test was performed to analyze the changes between groups. So the first conclusion they made was that there was increased functional connectivity in motor circuits. So this graph shows the changes of connections between regions involved in motor circuits across age. X-axis shows the gestational age in weeks, and Y-axis shows the strength of the connectivity. So you can see that there are increases in all of those connections as age becomes older. Secondly, they also observed increased functional connectivity in the default mode network. So if you remember, the posterior cingulate cortex and the medial prefrontal cortex are key regions involved in the default mode network. And you can see that there's increased functional connection between these two regions as age grows older. Thirdly, there was increased long-range functional connectivity in older fetuses. So this graph shows the number of long-range connection to these 4 seed regions. X-axis shows the distance to the seed, and the y-axis shows the number of regions that are X distance away from the seed and also have a significant connection with the seed. So this 3 curve representing 3 age groups. And you can see that there's a huge increase in some of this distant connection in older fetuses. And that means there's an increase in long-range functional connections. So what do these results mean? Firstly, they identified the primitive form of functional neural networks in fetal brain, as well as their development across different ages. Moreover, this study actually discovered the first evidence that development of long-range connections start in utero. Overall, this study provides new information regarding the development of functional connectivity, and a continued study in this field might be very helpful in detecting, understanding, and treating neural abnormalities in fetuses. And thank you for listening.